Yo, shh, bro, look.
What? Oh, damn.
She's so hot. I wish I could talk to her, but she's like way out of my league.
Yeah, same.
What do you mean, bro? You could talk to her. You're actually good looking.
Thanks, but I don't think so.
I'm serious, bro. If you just stop talking like a robot and like you just don't care what I'm saying, you'd actually have a chance.
No, it's just I don't have good communication skills. I am interested in what you're saying, though.
Bro, you don't have communication skills. Do you remember the time you gave that class presentation and you were like, today I'm going to talk about, and you were all animated? Do you remember that time on your birthday when you were like really happy and I actually saw you alive for once? Do you remember when we're gaming and you're like, he's over there, he's over there? Where is that energy in just your regular conversation, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Thanks, bro. What you just saw is a pretty common problem and one I used to have terribly. I would not show much facial expression when I was talking. I wouldn't range my tone much. My responses would be kind of short. I wouldn't yap for too long. And as a result of that, it wasn't as fun to talk to me because I was just boring. And it was harder for people to understand how I felt when I said something, like whether I thought something was good or bad, because I would say it with a dead straight face and a robot tone. And sadly, this killed any chance I had at making friends or getting girls. And I did this because of two things. One, it felt unnatural. It didn't feel like me to use my hands a bit more and to range my tone a little bit more and to smile when I said stuff. In other words, it felt fake. And the other reason I didn't communicate effectively was because I was focused on what I was saying and trying to improve that rather than focusing on improving all the other parts, like my hand gestures and my expression, which is actually a bigger part of communication skills. But I had the communication skills there. At least I might not have been some amazing communicator, but I had some level of skills. And I think everyone has some level of skills, a lot more than they use in everyday conversation. So it's generally not about trying to improve your communication skills, it's trying to use the skills you already have. So with just a little bit more effort, either of those guys from that skit could have talked to each other better and had a better conversation. And they also could have gone up and talked to that girl and had a good conversation with her. Okay, so what exactly are you trying to put effort into to do more of? Well, people do generally, as I was saying before, do a good job of focusing on what they're saying. So people will get better at saying the right things in conversation. So, you know, your ability matches your actual use of that ability. You're capped out. But people's ability when it comes to their expressive stuff, so facial expression, tone of voice, hand gestures, body posture, this stuff gets underutilized. So it's down here and your ability is up here. So you're trying to do more of all of those things. You're trying to use more hand gestures rather than having them in your lap all the time. And this just takes effort. I'll go over some strategies to get used to it, but it just takes effort. Facial expression, you don't want to give stuff in just a monotone stuff. This is something I'm trying to improve because I'm not great at it. But you don't want to deliver every line in a really boring tone like this. You want to range your tone and range your facial expression a little bit. So smile and go up and down with your voice. You can also lean in when you're interested, not too much. Or you can, when you're giving a story, you can lean back a bit and have very open body posture so you're addressing more people. Now, there's a million videos out there on communication skills. I'm not the best at it, so I'm not the best person to teach you like exactly how to do every single part. There's better YouTubers. But what I will say is that the point of this is to get across your message in a clearer way because you're adding all this extra information. So your words is one stream of information when you're talking to someone. There's these other streams as well. There's the streams of information being conveyed by your hands, by your body posture. All of this stuff is communicating like, I'm interested in you. This is a really funny story. I'm actually a bit sad right now. All of this stuff, which you might not get from just the words. So it can't be neglected, obviously. And it also helps you be a more interesting person to talk to because you're ranging more. And that's just more interesting to watch and listen to. Like if I was talking like this the whole video, you guys would probably click off. So that's basically what you're trying to do. You're putting more effort into communicating emotion and being more interesting to talk to. Now you can improve all this stuff, your hand gestures, your facial expression, your tone of voice by filming yourself and watching it back. the next day. Now, if you watch yourself back on recording straight away, you're gonna be horrified by what you see. But if you wait 24 hours, it's slightly less harsh. You don't judge yourself as much. And this is actually a tip from Vinh Giang. You should check him out. He's great on communication skills. I'm not entirely sure why it works, but my theory is that it's because you don't have an expectation of what you should look like after 24 hours, where when you've just said something, you have an expectation of what that looks like. And then when you go and watch it, it doesn't match that, obviously. So film yourself just saying anything. You know, just if you're writing an assignment, just read it out and try and read it out in a better way if you can. What I do is I do a story every day. So I tell the story of the day before. So I just yap for like around 5 minutes for what happened the day before. And then after that, I write down, you know, after I've watched it back 24 hours later, I write down, okay, what are one to three things that I'm gonna try to improve next time? And I don't try to improve a different thing every time. I might just focus on one thing for a little while. What this is going to do, and again, it's just 5 minutes a day, is it's going to make this stuff more natural. It's going to make the facial expression, the hand gestures, all that stuff more natural. And I've seen this myself. I'm still working on some of it, but it's become more natural. And how do you then translate this into conversation? Well, it's gotten more natural because it feels natural for you to be doing this, but then you have to do it when you're talking to people. Because when you're talking to people, there's a lot to focus on. You got to focus on what to say. And a lot of people, when you're not, you know, perfectly confident, are also focusing, you know, they're kind of worried about how they look and whether people are judging them. So that's another thing that you may be focusing on. So it's hard then to also focus on your communication skills. And by just doing that video, you will start to naturally do some of it. But you can speed up the process by adding it in at the start of social interactions. So on the way to a social interaction, if you're driving to a party or you're driving to your weekly soccer thing, you can do the story thing again and you can get your arms moving. You could talk about what you're gonna do in this social interaction, like what your goal is. And you're basically just talking to yourself and you're getting yourself used to doing this stuff. So that as soon as you then get there and you start talking, you've already just been doing it. So it's kind of like you've got momentum. What you can then do is once you're in the social situation, I would never try and do communication skills, focus on using a certain communication skill while I'm listening to someone. I've done this and it's gone horribly wrong because I've completely ignored what they've said. They've finished talking and I don't have anything to say because I have no idea what they were just talking about. So then it's just an awkward conversation, awkward silence, and it makes it seem like I just had no interest in what they just said. So you want to avoid doing, trying to do anything else while you're listening. Just listen. When you're talking, on the other hand, there you can start to open up and practice a little bit because generally talking, particularly on certain topics, takes a bit less cognitive energy. So you have that energy, that space in your mind to focus on doing this stuff. So if you try and do this at the start of the social interaction, you'll become more used to it. So the video way before the social interaction every day is making it natural and getting you more comfortable doing it. Then there's kind of a warm up before the social event. And then at the start of the social event, you're putting the most effort into it to try to get it there. And then after that, if you've done these things, you're going to start off with a high level of communication skills. So then you won't have to focus on it as much as it goes on because that'll be kind of the bar you've set, the threshold you're at. And when you put effort into doing this, you will see your conversation skills and your communication skills, your relationships will get much better. Now, this is a lot of effort to put in. 5 minutes a day, every time you drive somewhere to go to a social event, you got to yap to yourself. It is effort, right? And why is it worth it? And I've already talked about how people are going to like you more and you're going to connect with people better and you're going to be more entertaining to be around and people are going to understand you better. So that's enough, I would hope. But there's one other thing as well, which is that people think this is, the first law of thermodynamics, which is like energy can either be created nor destroyed. Now there's social energy, of course. If you're at a social event, the social energy might die down slowly as it goes on. Now, if you're putting in this effort here, you're basically bringing up the social energy. Now, this is where I want to disagree with the first law of thermodynamics. I think social energy can be created. So if you bring up the energy, you're bringing everyone else's energy up. And the net is a creation of energy out of thin air. So you can remember that as well. If you're being more expressive, not only are you helping yourself by having better relationships and conversations, you're essentially just making the entire group better. Like the cost to you in terms of effort is small relative to the energy that everyone will gain. And then you'll gain energy as well because you'll be having more fun. Basically what I'm trying to say is that if you put in, let's say like 1 kilojoule of social energy into putting effort into this, you might generate 10 kilojoules across the entire group. So it's not like 1 kilojoule of energy raises the energy of the social environment by 1 kilojoule. I don't know if that's a bit of a weird analogy, but I hope it helps convince you that this is worth it. So please just give it a go. Start today, don't start tomorrow, start today. And I hope it helps. Have a great day.